I mean, granted, it could have been growing out of my nose and then down. You know,
It's possible too.
it's possible.
I think any part of your body that can
one that originates
exhale air and with some force could blow on a harmonica. So you could probably hold it up to your ass and fart really hard. And
that'd be a good experiment. You could just wedge it between your cheeks.
I don't know if that counts as an experiment.
Beans.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
I guess I'll try to figure out how to start then. Hey, Charlie, what are you listening to this week?
Sure. Am I supposed to answer?
I don't know.
Now? Are you officially asking me?
I'm officially asking you.
What am I listening to?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. God. That's new? Nothing, probably. That's
what's in your regular rotation then?
You
mostly you don't listen to really albums, right? You like
I started listening
song after song.
Albums again because everybody else just plays whatever they're doing at their volume, so I may as well just play what I want instead of trying to hide. So yeah, okay. You're gonna think it's funny, but I've gotten into like older music, stuff that I used to, I wouldn't say disdain, but just, you know, you heard it on the radio all the time, and then
like the Doors.
Yeah, for example, but like but the thing is but what's weird is that there's other songs on those albums. That's, that goes without saying, really. I mean, but because they only play certain ones on the radio, you get sick of those. But so anyway, Dark Side of the Moon.
I was born sick of the Doors.
I didn't say the Doors. Dark Side of the Moon I've been into.
All right.
I really like that part. I don't know what song it is where the guy's like, wasn't like I was gonna do, just gonna do. I can relate. Like, he sounds like he's down on his luck. It hasn't worked in a while, and we can all relate to that. And let's see. The Yes album. I was listening to the Yes album.
God.
Today.
Wait, the Yes album, or
just
Yes
for those who may not know, this is like a punk rock / heavy metal type thing that we're trying to get across here. But go proceed, Charlie. Dig your grave even deeper.
That's fine. You asked me a question and I'm answering it.
That's all right.
I didn't think I needed to prove myself anymore.
But wait, are you talking the Yes album with Steve Howe, or the
one where it doesn't have any of that psychedelic artwork? It's got the it's just like them. I think it's their first album.
Oh, I love that album.
Yours is No Disgrace, and
no, that's not the first album. That's the first one with Steve Howe.
That's the one then.
Yeah, I hate that album.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of that stuff because like I'm drawing and I just like need something to space out to, A lot of Metallica lately.
Wow. The good Metallica, or
which era?
Up to Justice, probably.
Nice.
And I think I was listening to that Def Club, Dead Kennedy's Def Club album today. Have you ever heard it?
What's that?
It's I don't know if it's from when they were a 5-piece. It might have been. It's early on. Because oh God, what song is it? Back in Rhodesia. You'd recognize it. It's famous by now I can't conjure it up, but it's a song that's on fresh fruit that they
Never
chant.
heard of it.
Is it called? Is it the one where? I'd have to hear it again, but yeah, it's interesting. It's like that era. Dead Kennedys has like there was another songwriter doing a lot of the songwriting. It wasn't just Jello, and I don't know if that's why the guy isn't in the band anymore because Jello didn't want to share the spotlight or he wanted to do other things. But it was less like political stuff, and it was more like neuroses and madness kind of stuff. But it's worth checking out. It's a pretty good album.
What's it called?
Live at the Deaf Club. I think it's like 79 or 78 or something. And that's it. And that segues into, listening to older music. Like, no, I don't think, to answer that, I'd say I don't think it's lame. Or whatever the topic was.
We
haven't
put
talked
our
about
albums
that
up.
yet.
Lame or
We'll talk about that.
Did anybody?
all right. Anyway, that's my top 3, 4, 5, whatever. Sabbath, whatever. I don't know. Anything you can get stoned and draw to, I guess. Whatever. Next.
What's you, Grundy?
I've been
What have you been
listening
up
to a couple of things. I like the other day I pulled up like the stuff I listened to the most in 2020, and I fell right down that hole again. And it's like there's this band from New Zealand called the Beths, and I freaking love them. I saw them in Buffalo like 2 years ago, and they're like a poppy guitar band. Not so like. I mean, it's definitely it's one of those bands. You hear your old punk roots in there, but they're definitely like more of a power pop band.
Did you say
that
the
was an
meth?
E-
Like
The Beths.
methamphetamine?
No, the Beths.
Oh, the
that's
Beths.
like the name.
As in the best Kiss song ever.
No, the Beth. Actually, I'm wearing their shirt today.
the Beths, like the
The
girl.
Beths.
The Beths.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Like the Elizabeths. Okay.
Yeah, but it's funny because they're from New
Less
Zealand,
formal though.
and when you say they're like,
Yes.
"Hello, we're the best," and it sounds like they're saying we're the best. There's this really funny band called Crying. I don't think they're doing anything anymore. Their last album's from like 2016. They're kind of like a glitch pop band. It's super nuts. Like their first album is totally like a Nintendo soundtrack with heavy guitars, and their second album is it's got like crazy 80s sounding guitars. Like that dude bought a couple old rock bands and was like using that for recording. Big synths. It's pretty cool. And then past couple days I've also been listening to like this heavy metal covers, like bands doing heavy metal covers of stuff. And
Like non-heavy metal bands doing heavy metal covers?
heavy
or-
metal bands doing covers. It was just like a random list that I came across. But I found probably the best heavy metal cover that was ever done. Dragon Force, that band? They covered My Heart Will Go On
The
by
Guitar
Celine
Hero
Dion.
band.
Yeah.
That's how I know him. Yeah.
They covered My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. It's fucking insane. But there's
Anything else?
I had this shoot, what's the name of the band? Brownstone? Brownstone or Browntones. I fuck this up all the time.
Round note.
No, not the brown note. It's like the last thing you need me to do is listen to the brown.
Frowny the Brown Clown.
Sorry, Brownout. The band's Brownout, and they did 2 albums of Black Sabbath covers. And so they're kind of like this this Texas funk band. And I sent Bill, I know I sent you like
Yeah, you did. I now remember you sending that over. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
You should listen to it. It's pretty. It's like it's heavy, but it's got a horn section.
Nice.
Like Fairies Wear Boots is just like all of a sudden you're listening to it and the horns are playing in the background and you're like, oh, this is actually what Black Sabbath was going for. It's got like boom, boom,
Right,
boom,
I
boom.
can see that fitting in a lot of spots.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the horn section.
Cool.
And that would be really, really weird.
It is. I love it, but really, really weird.
Yeah. Just thinking of Sabbath with a horn section. I don't know that I could do that.
It could happen.
Yeah, but imagine if like it was like dun 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 dun.
I'm
Or
just thinking of
something
horns
like-
doing that,
was
and it
like
just
on a
sounds so
trombone,
bis-
like,
I mean, listen to Gustav Holst and Mars, especially that track from the planets, and that is, I mean, I think I only even credited that as like the inspiration for this Black Sabbath riff for that song.
Hmm.
And it has very
Really?
heavy horns in that. Yeah, check it
Heavy
out.
horn,
Heavy horn.
going by the name Heavy Horn.
Anything else, Grund?
I don't know. I listen to so much stuff all the time. And the thing I try to remember is like when I like it to go to Bandcamp and buy it instead of just listening to it on Spotify and everybody getting ripped off.
Yeah.
How about you, Bill?
Well, I got a few written down that I did the same thing Grundy did. I pulled up what I've been listening to lately and then even through 2020, and I kind of fell down that 2020 rabbit hole again. And coincidentally, and most recently, I've been like way into Sabbath, and I know it's going to draw some ire from from Danny at least, but the Dio era with Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell and Dehumanizer, which is
There's good songs.
painfully underrated album, Dehumanizer. And then along with the Sabbath, my favorite Sabbath album of all time is Sabotage. So I've been like playing the hell out of that.
It's a very underplayed album, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the few albums in general by any band that I don't skip anything when I listen to it. Put it on, and front to back, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I've been into Celtic Frost, however you want to pronounce it. Especially their last album that they put out, Monotheist, is for me far and away their best album. I mean, I've also been listening to Morbid Tales and to Megatherion, but I don't know if any of you guys have had the chance to listen to that last album that they did, but it is intensely dark and amazing.
It's pretty killer.
Yeah. Another one is, I don't know if you guys have you guys heard of Grip Inc?
Grip?
No.
Grip Inc. It's Dave Lombardo's band after he left Slayer. And it's basically Slayer, but with better songs and a better singer. It's amazing. Their album Incorporated especially is my favorite. And then beyond that, real quick, I'll go through some newer albums. Some came out very recently, others within the last few years, but the Shellac did incredible. That's Steve Albini's band.
Yeah, I know.
The new Rammstein album that came out last year, Deutschland, great album. The new AC/DC, for what it's worth, I think it's good. It's not going to be a classic or anything, but I know that'll be a topic for a future show. Is
that with Axl Rose singing?
Is that Axel DC?
No, it is not. Brian's back.
Oh,
It's the Back in Black lineup minus Malcolm, obviously. It's they're Stevie Young
And the
filled
throat
in.
polyps.
And then Mr. Bungle went and like re-recorded their original demo that I don't think ever was officially released, but it's called The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. And they got Mike Patton on vocals, who obviously Mr. Bungle, their guitar player and bass player. Scott Ian is playing second guitar, and Dave Lombardo again is playing drums. And it's good. It's real good.
so Bill, talk to us about your migration towards the jam bands.
The jam bands? Who's a jam band?
Isn't Mr. Bungle a jam band?
Listen to The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny.
Was it a super group more than a jam band? I wouldn't say it was a jam band.
They were a weird you could say jam band, but not in the sense of like the Dead or Fish or something like that.
Yeah,
More just
right.
Jam band in the sense that it was just weird, crazy stuff.
Would jam
With this-
band refer to like it being improvised in some way, or the length of the
It
songs,
sounds
or
improvised.
both?
And both, yeah, I would say both.
Yeah,
But this album was never hugely into Mr. Bungle. Little bits and pieces, like, you know, bands like King Crimson and stuff like that. Like, I dig them, put them in a little box and put them away after I hear them for a little bit. But the first album, that what I'm talking about, that they just re-recorded and released, is definitely not a jam. It's thrash, 1980s early thrash. Check it out.
Interesting.
And Dan,
That's probably all those guys' roots.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Why not?
I went down this weekend. I went down the 1980s thrash metal rabbit hole, and ended up listening to Creator
nice.
and Sodom, and Death, the first Death album too. Which those are good albums when you're working on your furnace and it's leaking water and you don't know why. But you know, there's hardware stores within a mile of you, and I just started getting. It was like I don't know if anybody cares why my furnace was out. That's probably not the topic of this podcast, so I'll skip that part. But anyway, multiple trips to the hardware store on Sunday. I forget what day of the week it was. Well, anyway, over the weekend I was running around, so I just threw Spotify on to like refresh my memory of like names of bands, and as soon as a band came up that I liked, I just hop over to YouTube and then just listen to the full album. And like those Creator albums are like, they're fucking sick, man. Those are some really good albums. I don't know why.
I remember
and then
Grundy turned me on to them back in the day.
Yeah, I just remember you and I being in Rock Fantasy and like going through all those albums and laughing our asses off. They were definitely like one of those albums where you're just like,
right.
Okay.
Some of that stuff gets like really cartoonish and hilarious.
Yeah. I saw them like when Pleasure to Kill and like Flag of Hate had come out. Like it was their first time in the States, and they were great and awful at the same time, because the two guitar players were like a half step out of tune with each other, and they were just like super tight and super heavy and super out of tune. I was just like, man, if they were in tune, we'd probably be dead. But that was awful.
And then today I was working on my dryer, and I just was listening to blues in the laundry room, and ended up remembering an album that I had fallen in love with a few years ago. This guy, Charles Caldwell, who literally released only one album in his entire lifetime, because he got like, I don't know, he was like old. I guess he was in his 60s or whatever. Got his first like recording contract, started the sessions, and then was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And then like just decided, fuck it, I'm going to do it, and just recorded this whole album, and then died soon after. But it's a great album.
Is anybody looking at Charlie and wondering what he's doing?
I think he just started
what is he
building a
massaging
table.
down there? It looks like he's down there
I think it's his
massaging
wood.
something. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Caressing your wood.
It's scraping his wood, I think.
Well, my dad gave me this chisel, and I'm just trying it out on this thing right here.
Okay.
Charlie,
Okay.
this is. Why don't you hold it up to the camera so we can at least see what's going on?
See, it's a sticker, and I'm just using this chisel.
Oh, you're trying to peel the sticker
I
off.
thought you were
Tearing it
whittling.
away.
Thought you were
He was
whittling a
building
pan
a
flute.
table. It's like, and Charlie got bored already and is building a table.
And then the third thing I was listening to, third album, I guess I would say I listened to, was Ride the Lightning. I hadn't listened to it probably in like 25 years. And then I think it was like last spring sometime, it just popped into my head. And I threw it on when I was doing some stuff around the house. And like, what a fucking great album that is. That is like, it's like this perfect moment where that band is still raw and sort of unpolished,
Right.
but had gone back after their first tour and did just enough homework to write really good songs, but they're, you know, like, so there's still like that mix of like that raw, really simple Kill 'Em All style and like what becomes sort of like
epic.
Master of Puppets. Like it's
Yeah.
that fine
Yeah.
line. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's just some amazing songs on that album. So, and it's ever since I started listening to it again last spring, like I'll throw it on pretty often now, just to listen to it all the way through. I just love that album. So,
I mean,
which is, so I guess it's officially one of those albums that I've listened to for 30, 40 years and can still listen to.
Yeah.
But you said you spent a lot of time away from it too, though, which helps.
Yeah, I did for sure. And that's sort of the idea. Like, is it something you've listened to for 30 or 40 years? Because I'm not that good. Would that be like early 20s, late teens?
Yeah.
There's tons of stuff I still listen to.
Yeah.
Like The Clash has been in constant rotation in my life since like 1984, 85, something like that.
Yeah. Even earlier, right? Yeah.
So this second topic, which we haven't formally announced, is, what is it? We talked about it before we started, but I don't think we ever.
And you listen to the same, like what, I guess it's sort of like listening to music that's you've listened to now for a couple of decades.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah. Well, I know.
I
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, for me, I think time has just become a filter. It's not a wall. So there's some things that stay constantly. There's some things that pop up here and there. And there's some things I'll just never listen to again.
Yep.
You know?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Or you know, it's weird. Like some things I only have in certain forms, or like I only listen to at certain times. So like if I have it as a CD or something in my car, because I still have a CD player in my old car. So it's like, oh, okay, that's my like car music because I hate the radio. So it's just funny because I'll unearth like a CD that I didn't even know I had, and then that'll go in the mix, and then that'll be on there forever, or in there. It's just weird, like with kids though, for a while, like certain CDs weren't in there just because, you know.
Fresh fruit for rotting vegetables wasn't in
Well,
rotation.
even worse than that, but yeah. The kids just don't need to.
Yeah. My little kids were driving around listening to the Angry Samoans back from Samoa, which is not necessarily appropriate.
No.
Depends what you're going for.
At all.
I mean, I distinctly remember being in the supermarket when Jack was like 3, and I also realized he was singing a Lunatic song.
Wow.
He's like, I don't want you anymore. It's like, what? Oh boy, he really listens to everything.
Nate said to me once, he's like, Dad, could you not sing? And I was like, why? I like this album. Listening to Kiss. He's like, yeah, but I like it better when they sing. Yeah, okay. I guess I won't.
For me, I think it's a mix of both. I think Danny actually hit the nail on the head there. Time is more of it's just a filter. And there are bands that I've always listened to, always going to listen to, the Ramones, Motorhead, stuff like that. And then there are other bands that kind of come and go, and even stuff, I mean, stuff that you just get burnt out on, you know?
Yeah, I remember being really into White Zombie when they came out. And then I hadn't thought about them in like 20, 25 years.
For me,
I tried to listen to something of theirs the other day. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, just some stuff doesn't hold it up to the test of time like that. But, but I do look forward
like
to
the Mentors.
No, they're always
did not age out of like that year.
the meat men.
I brought a CD into work, and the whole shop, like everyone just stopped working it was just listening to the vocals, basically. Like, what's the next fucked up thing this guy's gonna say?
I remember when that was like a big thing, and Frank Zappa was going, "Come on, folks, kids know that they didn't have something great. Kids know that there was something strange in their Wheaties when they wrote that shit."
Yeah, he's one that like I was all into, and now I just find myself not.
He's one I've tried for many years to get into, and I get it. Like, and I admire him for his body of work and what he did and was all about musically. But musically, I've never been able to actually connect to the music. But I'm fascinated by the man. Like, I'll watch interviews with him and stuff like that.
There's the Mothers of Invention stuff is good.
Yeah.
There's like, I mean, that's kind of one of those, like, I've heard it so much. My best friend is just like always been a huge Zappa head, and it's like, yeah, I'm very familiar with the catalog. I really don't want to hear it anymore. I honestly, there's like 2 songs that I really liked, and
yeah,
one of them I know the name of. The other one I know pretty much where it is, and I can find it pretty quick.
Yep. First time I ever got drunk, I was listening to Frank Zappa. Shake Your Booty, is that one of his albums, right? Yeah, that was the first time I got drunk.
That's that Joe.
Probably
Joe
weren't even drinking anything. That album will just put you in that state naturally. I don't think you actually had to drink anything.
I was drinking 7 and 7, and I think I smoked weed that night too. It was at my brother's house. It was at my old house, in mine and my brother's room, with my brother. But I remember that album and thinking to myself, this doesn't really seem like music. Like, there's a lot of skits and talking and stuff going on.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Anything else on that topic?
Well,
I'm curious.
Like,
is there any one thing that anybody has listened to for more than 2 decades, like consistently? Maybe, like, let's say, at least once a month?
Oh, once a month?
Once a month?
No. I mean,
I don't think I have anything.
Not once a month.
I mean, it's like, put on WPDH or something like that, and you're going to be listening to the same stuff all the time.
Right.
He said stuff we were into.
Like, no, I mean, like pulling out an album, like listening to is there an album that
I look,
maybe even like 6 times a year, you've listened, you pretty much on average, you've listened to this at least 6 times a year.
Yeah.
Sure. I can think, like, to the bands that I'm super into would, like, Ramones and Motorhead. There were probably years where it's just, I don't know, I was exploring other stuff.
Yeah.
And right now I'm probably more prone to pull out an old Motorhead album, or even a newer Motorhead album, than a Ramones album. But the band I've probably been listening to the most consistently for the longest period of time is probably No Means No. I mean,
really?
That's something I always go to, and I love even their, like, first, I guess it was released as an EP called Mama. It was just the two brothers. They put out like a full length of that, like all the demo stuff from that era. This years ago they put that out, but it's not great, but it's very interesting. And I mean, so even stuff like that I'll pull out and listen to, and that's been pretty consistent, I would say, over at least the last 10, 15 years.
I think there was like eras of, there was like always like go-to bands for a long time. Like in the 80s, it's like, I was always listening to Dead Kennedys. I was always listening to GBH. I was always listening to Metallica. And even more than like anything else, maybe up until about 88, when like people introduced me to the Replacements and shit like that, and beer. And so then those go together so well. And I think I listened to Jawbreaker constantly for most of the 90s.
Just that one album though, right?
Just the one album. I didn't listen to the other albums until about like 6-7 years ago. A friend of mine was like, didn't you ever hear? I was like, yeah, pretty much like New York Demos up to Unfun, and I'm done, I'm out. And he was like, yeah, they put out like 4 other albums. I was like, really?
I think they got signed, right?
They got
like
famous.
A major label.
Like they got to the point where they got so signed and so popular that people were bitching about the last album being weak. They got back together a couple of years ago too. They'd probably be touring like now again, if it weren't
if anyone could tour. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to claim a 90s exclusion for most things, just because it was like.
Were those your San Francisco years?
The next thing I knew, it was 2000.
The lost decade.
It was pretty messed up. So,
cool.
Yeah, you know, I listen to like Buffalo Springfield a lot, interestingly enough. And just, I don't know about you guys, but I had like a lot of older brothers and sisters, like 10, 11 years older. So like all that stuff from the late 60s was just like pumping through my house all through my childhood. So I think that's why I just have an affinity for it. And plus like my luxuriously long hair. But that's why I think I love it, because I just connect it to all those things, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, there's like bands that I was like, oh, I'm never gonna stop listening to that. No, I can't.
Can't stand them anymore.
Yeah.
I tend to binge on stuff and then I get tired.
They don't.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll get obsessed with things and then I'll just hit a wall and I'll be like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah. I'll
do that. I did that a couple of years ago with GBH, and I was like, I listened to like all these albums, and I couldn't get in for weird reasons. Like I'll get into a mode where like I can't get enough of it. Like I'll just listen to stuff constantly, and then just as quickly like it switches off, and then I won't listen to it again for like another couple of years sometimes.
Yep.
I feel like some albums are like, they were huge to me for a long time, and I go back and listen. It's just like, a perfect example is Kill 'Em All versus Ride the Lightning. Like Kill 'Em All, once in a while I'll pull that out and it's like nostalgia. And I was like, wow, this album sucks. But Ride the Lightning, like you said, you know, I mean, it's
a more musical album. Yeah, it's just.
That was a watershed album for me. Like I pull it out and I don't listen to it like constantly, but every now and then I'll pull it out. And it was only like a couple months ago. I think when we were still playing last year, was that last year we were still playing a little bit?
Yeah.
No. In 2020, we were not playing. Oh, you mean rehearsing?
Yeah.
Yeah, rehearsing.
Yeah.
What's a show? I don't know what a show is.
I don't know what a show is.
This is now.
Yeah. This is your life. Yeah, I was listening to it. I was like, yeah, this still hits like that same, but I can't listen to it constantly. Voivod, I can listen to a little bit more, like the Killing Technology, probably just Killing Technology in terms of their old stuff. But I didn't listen to them as much back in the day as like I picked it up, you know, a couple years back and was just like, yeah, you know, I really liked this and I didn't have an LP for it, so I never listened to it. Only heard it when I was over at Todd's house, kind of thing. And it's like, now I have every song ever written available at my fingertips.
Yeah. That's a big thing. That's a big shaper of your musical taste, is how much money you were willing to spend on it. And you're like, well, this, you know, I know I'm gonna like this, but I really want to check this out. But you know, I know I used to wrestle with that in the store.
The trick is to always have a blank cassette in your pocket and then go hang out at your friend's house.
Yeah, right.
Start flipping through their records.
Yep.
Wow, I never thought of that. Seriously.
Yeah.
So how far are we into this mess?
We're 40 minutes into this mess.
All right. Well, do you guys want to go on to like our little speed round?
Speed
Yeah.
round?
What's the speed?
Yeah. Speed round is where everybody we assigned
You
each
got
other
assigned a
person.
person, you got to ask a question.
All right, I'm supposed to ask Bill something.
Okay, I asked Danny, and I didn't think of a question, so I'm gonna just come up with it off the cuff.
Well, I got one.
All right. We'll
Okay, go
start
for it.
with
Who wants
Wait,
to-
who was I
Grundy.
asking a question of?
I think
You were
me.
asking Charlie.
I think
I
it
was
goes, you know, like
Grundy, you can go first.
everybody's screaming. No, somebody else go first. I forget my.
gotta
I
make
have
it
to look at my
the-
notes.
Hold
Bill, do you feel like you're ready?
Oh yeah,
on. Ready?
go for it.
Just go. Oh,
Yeah.
Go, Charlie.
what was your first car and how much did it cost you?
A 1976 blue Chevy Malibu 4-door. It was, I guess, like $1,100. I think sticks out. I remember getting the loan from my parents and making payments to them.
Stick shift
And
or automatic?
auto, yeah, auto. Well, okay, first car was given to me by my father, was an old 70s Volkswagen Bug that I just learned to drive on. That was a stick, and I learned, driving up around the farm that I grew up on. And then he came to me one day. He's like, I know I gave you that car, but somebody just offered me a lot of money for it, so I'm going to sell it to them instead. So that technically was my first car, but not really. Yeah, the first one, like I got, like when I started driving and registered in my name and all that, was a 76 blue Chevy Malibu. The defroster didn't work, so I had an ice scraper inside, and I would have to scrape the windshields in the winter because it would frost up on the inside. Because
Oh, I've been there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow. I expected a musical question. Now I feel weird, like asking Danny a music question.
All right, Bill, then you can go.
But I
Feel
like that.
weird. Keep feeling weird, Bill.
Danny, what is the best Iron
Bill.
Maiden album, in your opinion?
I'm going to go with what I know.
The one you know.
Hooper.
The one I'm most familiar with is Killers.
Okay,
Um,
that's not a bad
just 'cause
answer.
that was sort of like that was played at parties a lot. But I think the one that I really go back to periodically, which might be like 3 or 4 times in a lifetime, would be Number of the Beast.
Nice. Okay.
But
So
those
I
are
did-
the only, in my defense, those are the only 2 albums I'm familiar with of theirs.
Well, if you got to start somewhere, those are good places to start for sure.
That's
My-
kind of where I started and
My
stayed.
favorite's Peace of Mind, by
If
the
you
way.
got to end, you can end with those two.
Yeah. Nah, Peace of Mind is my favorite. Power Slave was
Well,
pretty
you
good.
have to find
It was kind of about
really
it.
close. You can find back.
Yeah. What's yours,
Really?
Bill?
Favorite Maiden album? Peace of
Yeah.
Mind, for sure.
Oh, okay. So maybe I should check it out.
That one's good. Power Slave is just as good. And then beyond that is that's kind of where I fully went more punk than metal and kind of went down that punk rock rabbit hole
There's
full
some-
time.
If you like Iron Maiden, there's some good stuff like at the
I have
next
some of
3
their
albums after Power
Later
Slave.
stuff. Yeah, I remember buying when it came out Somewhere in Time, and I dug that song, the first single
Somewhere
they
in
had, Wasted Years, I think was
Yeah.
the first single. And I have some of the albums after that I've listened to, but I haven't really dug into them too deeply. Maybe I'll do that next. Just take Maiden and just listen to the albums that I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
There you go.
All right, you got a question for Grundy?
Yeah. So I get Grundy. I have a
Somebody
choice
had to.
between a musical question or a weird question. I'm going to go with the weird question, Grundy. If you had to wear a warning label, what would it say?
Didn't you wear one already?
Depends what era Grundy, because I have one for like 1988 Grundy.
Right there.
Flammable.
I was gonna say, it's like, what's that sticker on the back of the fire trucks? Like, stay back 500 feet.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is that it?
So
That's
what's
your answer?
that's my answer. Stay back 500 feet.
All right. So
rounding
you're
it-
last. You got a question for Charlie.
It's funny that Charlie started off with a car question because I had one too, and it was what is the first car that you crashed?
My parents, was that a Dasher? I can't remember. Because they right around 9th, 10th grade, they transitioned from VWs to Toyotas, and I feel like this was the last of the VWs. So I was,
VW Dasher?
yeah.
What the hell
It was
is that? I never heard of it.
hatchback.
Dasher
It was
wagon.
red.
Oh, okay. I remember these cars.
Anyway, I must have been in 9th grade or 8th grade. I think it was 8th grade. I was on my way to Steve Morton's house to play.
In eighth grade, you were driving your parents' VW Dasher.
Yes, I'm getting to that part. I'm on my way to play D&D at Steve Morton's house, and my brother Billy is taking me, and he's 10 years older, and he's like, "You want to try driving the car?" And I was like, "Sure." He's like, gives me like 10 seconds of instruction, and off we go, and I'm doing great. And then I got to make the turn on the Pine Hill Road, and I kind of panic, and I start driving with 2 feet, and I'm hitting the brake and the gas at the same time. And I went right into this ditch. It's only
Awesome.
going like 15 miles an hour because I was all slowed down for the turn. And, you know, we managed to get the car out of there. I don't know what he ever told them, but he never said anything. Because he'd probably be in a lot more trouble than me.
Nice.
But it was either that, yeah, it's probably, that's a car, but I think I wrecked the riding mower, but no one found out about that either because my dad was like, "You got to be in 2nd gear when you're doing the hill." And I was like, "Well, if I'm in 3rd gear, I'll go that much faster and I'll just be done sooner and I can go hang out with my friends." So I'm coming down the hill and I make this corner. That was the other thing. You had to go down the hill and then go down and do a loop and come back around. He didn't want you to come down and turn, you know, like this. And so I'm coming down the hill, I'm going way too fast. I make the turn and the lawnmower starts to flip over and I jump off. And
So this is the day.
It does a full somersault and lands upright and never stops running. So I get back on and I put it in 2nd gear. Just keep on like, "Oh, okay, now I know. Don't put it in 3rd gear."
This is the day you also discovered inertia and gravity.
Oh,
And that was probably right around the same time.
Nice.
So yeah, there you go.
Cool. So we done here?
I guess so.
All right.
I'm
Cool.
recording.
I think so.
We'll still hang out.
Yeah. All right.
Next
Well,
So
yeah.
that's sort of like a wrap then? I'm not sure how to end either. We'll have to
Yeah.
figure those things out.
We'll end it
Like,
with
along with a name.
Yeah. Coming up next time, the name of our Zoomcast.